Yeah, the elite must be really pissed off. Really pissed off. Look at this. Talk about the Brexit. Today's the 29th of March, 2017. Triggered. Boom. Britain invokes Article 50 to begin Brexit. Where do I get this? Well, Breitbart. Breitbart is a website that I found. Thank you, CNN, for putting up a whole list of all the quote unquote fake news websites that I go to now that I absolutely love. Breitbart is one of them. Of course, I also go to Zero Hedge a lot. I go to Drudge Report. I don't find them too compelling, not for me anyway. But I also go to. I used to go to Newsmax. It got way too political to the point where it was. I vomited. Okay, and I have always have to. Every time I do that, I have to get a new keyboard. So anyway, yeah, the elite are definitely pissed off. You know, yeah, that vote on the Brexit, just darn it, had to be triggered today, huh? Interestingly enough, my video that I did just about a day or two ago, March 27th, was talking about the elite taking down the system. But I really didn't get into how they were taking down the system. And to tell you the truth, I didn't do much. I just saw it, but I didn't do much digging and extracting of information to prove my point. But I'm going to do it today. As you recall, I said just like little children in kindergarten, they retaliate. These elite retaliate because they don't. They want their way. They're always so used to having their way. Darn it. Well, look at this delusion of Bitcoin. March 14th. Now, March 14th was not that long ago, okay? They actually were able to dilute the Bitcoin. How did they do it? Through Andrew Stone. How do I know? It was Andrew Stone and the elite. I just look at the timing and what this means. What this means is Bitcoin, the free man's currency, I say in quotes, because it's not a currency. To me anyway, it's a commodity, but still, it was it was the kind of like the Wild West, if you will, of currency. It was not uh, regulated by any central bank, so basically they hated that, so they had to dilute it somehow. So they created Bitcoin Unlimited, and the creation was Andrew Stone, probably developed, yeah, more than likely, it says developers. Andrew Stone, he probably had a few people around him doing some development as well. So, and the initial release of Bitcoin Unlimited was January 2016. But if you go to bitcoincharts.com, okay, you can actually pull up all the Bitcoin alternates. There's so many alternates. So this was like an alternate, or call it altcoin, if you will. Bitcoin Unlimited. Back when it first came out, it really didn't make too much waves on Bitcoin at all because they're like, yeah, it's like ethereal or, you know, Coin One or some other stupid coin that it was created and hung around for a few months and took people's few pennies and left. The stable release. Oh, wait a minute. March 14th. Yes, March 14th. That's what I brought down. Delusion of Bitcoin on March 14th because now there's a stable release of something called Bitcoin Unlimited. So people were starting, if you saw the videos back then, which I did, there was confusion going on. Part of the dilution, whatever, distillation process, if you will. Repository, github.com. That's the place to go if you're a programmer, which I do a lot. It was written in C++ of all things. Gotta love it. Platforms: Windows, Linux, Mac OS X, and ARM. So those are the operating system it works under, and type cryptocurrency. The main thing is it actually came online, if you will, with a stable release March 14th. Timing is everything, isn't it? It's everything. Technical distribution of Bitcoin, actually somebody must have known about this. That's always the technical case because when you look at the selling of Bitcoins, I did a few videos on that. You know, Large red spikes mean distribution, especially heavy selling of Bitcoin. And being that this market is not manipulated, you can trust the technicals, and the technicals are basically saying people are getting out of Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, today I even heard about that millions of Bitcoins have been traded, and many of them have been sold out. I mean, sold off. So that's the technical distribution of Bitcoin. When did it occur? March 10th. So you got March 14th, this delusion of Bitcoin. March 10th, actually, you had a spike in sales of Bitcoin. So somebody knew about 4 days before about this Bitcoin alternative called Bitcoin Unlimited. And there was a lot of confusion between here. I'm sorry, Bitcoin Unlimited when it came out in the 14th and all the way down. As you can see, there's a lot of selling due to the confusion. Part of the distribution process, part of the delusion process. Okay, well, it all occurred in the Ides of March. I think it was Bill Holder that said that. Somebody did. And then, March 25th, NWO, New World Order, publicly despondent. McCain had to give him a pep talk. Remember that? McCain, New World Order is under enormous strain. That's the title I got from Zero Hedge. But McCain basically was giving the New World Order people a pep talk because they were basically saying, dude, it's over, man. Get a life, okay? At the same, now this was March 25th. The very next day, this is big. This is enormous, okay? Google, Facebook, and Twitter, all three of them, were playing around with words, effectively demonetizing bloggers. Basically, bloggers put on content or they blog like I'm doing, and they monetize by telling, and when they upload the video, they actually click on monetize, and then you can get all kinds of information on how you want to monetize. How many monetizing means advertising. So how many advertisements you want on your video. 3, 4, 5, whatever. I pick 0 all the time. I don't even monetize. I don't. I don't need to, and I don't want to. Okay, because my content's it's a little bit on the fringe sometimes because of the cursing and stuff, which I enjoy doing when it's well placed. Anyway, back to this. So, interestingly enough, the very next day, March 26th, it is known that bloggers are being demonetized. Their subscriber base, all of a sudden, a third is taken out. I've seen people with 40,000 subscribers down to 10,000. People that I follow. Like, what the hell is going on? Plus, I noticed that as I watched the video, I'm not seeing the ads. I mean, the placement, the ad placements are there, but the ads are not coming up. That means they're not getting paid. But guess who else is not getting paid? Guess who else? This is the big news. Google's not getting paid through YouTube. Facebook is not getting paid because Facebook's doing the same thing. Twitter's not getting paid. Twitter's doing the same thing. Remember, when you monetize, okay, half the proceeds of the ads go to the company. Now you're starting to F around. Boy, those cursing pills are working. Or anti-cursing pills. You're starting to fool around with the company's heart, which is the money. So these major corporations are now saying, we don't care about the money. Have you ever heard of a corporation say that? Have you ever heard of a corporation say, we don't care about them? That's basically what they're saying. We don't care about the money. We just want to demonetize these people. Well, by demonetizing, their process is by looking at certain keywords in the description of the video. Unfortunately, the lamestream media uses the same thing, and other liberal, quote-unquote, progressive sites, the libtard sites, use the same verbiage, so they're being demonetized as well. So they're suffering. The advertisers are suffering because they can't get their word out, okay? But who's the one that suffers the most? Is it these bloggers that make a few bucks off of Google? There are very few that make a living off of it. No, it's Google. So if Google, somebody did some numbers, and it's just enormous what they make per day in advertising revenues for in their pocket. This is after paying the bloggers their percentage. It's a lot of money. It's in the millions. There's three. I remember this statistics. There are 300 hours a minute being uploaded to YouTube every single minute. Okay, that's a lot of hours. That's a lot of content that advertisers want to go for, and they can't because of the algorithms that they put up for demonetizing bloggers that they deem are, disseminating false news. Now, at the same time, March 26th, 60 Minutes, that libtard show, had a fake news story. Look it up. I'm not going to get into it. But basically, 60 Minutes fake news story was fake news. That's all I'm going to say. But interestingly enough, they had that out. They were demonetizing bloggers at the same time. McCain was giving a pep talk to anyone that was, down and out. And Bitcoin, the free man's currency, so to speak, was being, starting to be torn down. You want to talk about, fighting at all different angles. I mean, basically, this is a war. And someone put it perfectly. They said World War III is, I said it basically being fought in the pocket, but he said something different. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Demonetizing bloggers, March 26th. This I'm going to tell you that if you get a chance, go to the YouTube channel Cliff High. You will see this video entitled Advertising Bites on Social. He'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. And this, of course, YouTube video was put up, it says 2 days ago, but I got it today, March 29th. So basically March 26th and March 27th is when this video came out. So who's Cliff High? He has the WebBot program. He basically scrapes the internet. I'm not going to get into it too technically about it, but basically he looks at verbally looks at the internet, his computers do, every single day and gather information. And he saw, as of March 26th, he saw a major difference in the pattern. Okay, search patterns and so forth, verbiage and so forth. He does a very good job in explaining it. He's a bit on the technical side. If you could just get through the technical, you will get a good understanding of what's going on in the cyber world. This is a World War III that is being fought right now. And these are bombs. Demonetizing bloggers is a major bomb to some people. 60-minute fake news story is a minor bomb. Bitcoin being starting to be distributed, devalued, if you will, or disseminated. That's a bomb. So all this is going on. This is the elite, and I have to say, the timing points to the elite orchestrating all of this. Where do we go from here? What does the future say? I don't know. I come from the internet when it was born. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. I was working at corporations before the internet was open to the public, and the only way you could get on the internet is if you worked for a corporation and they had computers and terminals that were connected to what was called back then the World Wide Web. It wasn't called the internet, believe it or not. And they had how you got to one website. They called it a website, but it wasn't really what you see today. It was all text. But how you got to that content, if you will, you had to have the IP address. You had to have a way of getting there. Okay. Now you just type google.com, boom, Google comes up. But back then, if Google was around, you had to know Google's IP address. This is something that DNS is taking care of right now. I don't want to get too technical. I don't want to start sounding like Cliff High. Okay, I'm just saying that. So what they could do, what the elite could do, is they could shut off the DNS system or reduce it to only sites like CNN and all of the bullshit sites. So you can only use the internet to look at only bullshit sites. They could do that. It's not an off switch. The internet's still working. You still have commerce through it. You cannot shut it off, but they can filter out all these sites. I think that's coming next. Looking at all this, I think that's coming next. So what's the answer? Well, just like back then, we're going to have to get, if that happens, the only way you're going to get to certain sites is if you have the IP address. And how is that IP address disseminated? Well, through some type of text file, exactly the way it was done back in the 80s. Okay, and how that text file could be disseminated using what's called blockchain technology. Hey, did you hear about that before? Yes, through Bitcoin. Bitcoin, the guy that developed Bitcoin actually developed the blockchain technology, which sounds complicated, but it really isn't. It's basically a ledger, and this is really, really dumbed down, if you will. So you have Islander A that did a transaction, okay, and put it down on the ledger, okay, and made a copy of that ledger, gave it to Islander E and Islander B. Islander B sends it to Islander C. Islander E sends it to Islander D. So what Islander A did, everybody now knows. Okay, that's a ledger. It's the same thing with IP addresses. You can put the IP address on a Bitcoin on a decentralized ledger. Okay, specifically the blockchain, and basically disseminate all those IP addresses out there. Now, if you say, well, there's hackers, you could get a hacker that puts a different IP address, takes the text file that's disseminated, puts a different IP address just to screw with people. Cannot happen, mainly because of the trust portion. See, the trust here is the unanimous or majority view. In other words, if this guy tries to screw around with his ledger, well, Islander B has a copy. And Islander E has a copy, and so does D and C. So these four guys, compare their ledgers to Islander A, and guess what happens? This happens automatically. Islander A's ledger gets replaced with Islander B, C, D, or E. In other words, it gets replaced with a new ledger. It's considered hacked or corrupt, if you will, much like the system we live in. Okay, so every Islander keeps a record of every transaction, and we trust we trust the unanimous majority view, of course, because basically everybody has the same ledger. So if a ledger is different, well, that the majority takes precedence. Boom, that's it. That ledger is gone. So I think that's how these IP addresses in what is called today the dark web, but the way the internet operated back in the 80s. I used a web browser called Lynx. It was a command line web browser, if that makes any sense to you. Okay, I can get into the TCP port numbers and stuff like that it was working under, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to say it was command line web browser, much like what you get when you bring one of these up. That's a command line interface right there, and that's basically how the web browser looked. Okay. So now you know what kind of version I have of Microsoft Windows. So anyway, that's all I needed to bring out. I just hopefully you learned something. Just know that a lot of things are occurring. I cannot say that the timing is coincidence, especially when you're talking March 25th, boom, March 26th, another bomb, boom, with another bomb, boom, and another one. March 10th, boom. The Ides of March. Somebody said that. I think it was the Ides or Isles of March, whatever. Bill Holter, I think, said that. He said, "Watch for March, watch for March," and he's proven to be correct. Great guy, Bill Holter. Okay, until next time.